Good evening, and we are diving straight into some breaking developments that have captured global attention. Reports are emerging about United States military actions in Venezuela, and a Nigerian-based solidarity group has come forward with strong condemnation of President Donald Trump's decisions regarding the South American nation. Now, this is not something we can ignore because what happens in Venezuela has ripples that extend far beyond its borders, and Nigerians, along with people across Africa, are watching closely. Let me paint the picture for you. Venezuela has been in the international spotlight for years now, dealing with economic challenges, political tensions, and disputes over leadership legitimacy. The country sits on some of the world's largest oil reserves, which makes it a point of interest for many global powers. President Nicolas Maduro has been at the helm, but his government has faced recognition issues from several Western nations, including the United States, which has supported opposition figures in the past. Now, as we step into 2026, tensions have escalated to a point where military involvement is being discussed and reportedly acted upon. According to multiple sources reporting today, January 4, 2026, the United States under President Trump has taken military actions that are being described as aggressive interventions in Venezuelan affairs. While the exact nature of these actions is still being clarified through various news channels, what we know is that there are movements that suggest a hardline approach toward the Maduro administration. Some reports indicate potential deployment of military assets to the region, while others speak of enhanced military coordination with neighboring countries that oppose the current Venezuelan government. The details are still unfolding, but the mere fact that military action is on the table has sent shockwaves through international communities. This is where our Nigerian brothers and sisters come into the conversation. A Venezuela solidarity group based right here in Nigeria has issued a statement condemning these actions. This group, which has been advocating for Venezuelan sovereignty and non-interference in the nation's internal affairs, is calling out what they see as imperialist aggression. They argue that no country, regardless of its military might, has the right to impose its will on another sovereign nation through force or the threat of force. Their statement emphasizes the principles of self-determination and respect for international law, which they believe are being trampled upon by these recent developments. Now, you might be wondering why Nigerians are so invested in what happens in Venezuela. The answer lies in the broader principle of sovereignty and the history of foreign intervention in African and developing nations. Many Africans, Nigerians included, understand all too well what it means when powerful nations decide to involve themselves militarily in the affairs of others. There is a shared experience of colonialism, of having decisions made about your future by people who do not live within your borders. This solidarity group sees parallels between Venezuela's situation and struggles that have played out across the African continent. When they speak up for Venezuela, they are also speaking up for the principle that nations should be allowed to resolve their own issues without external military pressure. The timing of all this is particularly interesting. President Trump, who recently began his new term after winning the 2024 election, has been vocal about his America First policy and his willingness to use American power to advance what he sees as national interests. Venezuela, with its oil wealth and its alliances with countries that Washington views as adversaries, has long been in the crosshairs of U.S. foreign policy. Some analysts suggest that these military actions could be aimed at forcing a change in government or at least weakening Maduro's position significantly. Others believe it might be about securing access to resources or preventing other global powers from gaining too much influence in what the United States considers its backyard. The international response has been mixed. Some countries, particularly those aligned with Western interests, have expressed support or at least understanding of the U.S. position. They point to concerns about democracy, human rights, and regional stability as justifications for a more assertive stance. On the other hand, nations that prioritize non-interference and sovereignty, including many in Africa, Latin America, and Asia, are expressing alarm. They see this as a dangerous precedent that could justify intervention anywhere under the guise of promoting democracy or protecting interests. If you have been following along with me this far and finding this information valuable, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss updates on stories that matter to you and to the world. What makes this story even more compelling is the voice of ordinary people. The Venezuela Solidarity Group in Nigeria is not a government body but a grassroots organization made up of individuals who care about justice and international fairness. Their condemnation carries moral weight precisely because it comes from people who are speaking from conviction rather than political calculation. They are reminding us that foreign policy decisions have real human consequences, that military actions mean lives disrupted, families torn apart, and futures made uncertain. These are not abstract concepts, but realities that people in Venezuela will have to live with, just as people in many African nations have lived with the aftermath of interventions. So where does this leave us? As of today, the situation remains fluid. We are watching to see how the international community responds, whether diplomatic channels can de-escalate tensions, and what the actual scope of U.S. military involvement will be. We are also watching to see if other solidarity groups around the world will join their Nigerian counterparts in speaking out. This is a moment that tests our commitment to the principles we claim to hold dear about sovereignty, peace, and the right of peoples to determine their own destiny. What do you think about all of this? Should powerful nations be able to use military force to influence the politics of other countries, or should we stand firm on the principle of non-interference? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below because I really want to hear from you on this important issue. Your perspective matters, and this channel is as much yours as it is mine.